Alrighty, today we are going to focus on chamomile painting. This is one of my favorite little flowers. My friend Brittany, who owns Ladybird Blooms, always says that they look like little bumblebees, and that has just kind of stuck with me. I just think it's the happiest, cutest little flower. Right now it is spring. We're in the swing of things. I have the windows open. You'll be able to hear my neighbor mowing the lawn and birds, and I just really feel like I'm living in this moment and enjoying a nice Chicago breeze. So I'm going to get started with my paint palette. This is available for purchase on my website, or it is just as easy to find these on Amazon, or you could grab them from any craft supply store as well. But I love this palette because it has 36 paint colors and also these little wells right here where you can mix colors if you're feeling fancy and save them for later. I'm also going to be using my size 1 brush. This one's itty bitty. You could even consider this a dabber, but it's going to be perfect for painting the tiny, teeny details. And then I'm also using a medium-sized brush to fill in some of the larger details on my vase and everything as well. This design of chamomile is available for purchase on my website, or you can also just download and trace on watercolor paper if you prefer to go that way, but you've got a couple of different options. You can get everything at the link in my show notes down at the bottom. We're going to get started with these centers, and then I'm going to move to painting the stems and leaves, and then we'll do the base, and then we'll do the petals once all this up here is nice and dry. As far as colors are concerned, I'm going to use this light creamy yellow for my centers, this white for the petals, and then this navy blue for the vase. And I really like this sort of grass green color for my leaves. I'm gonna stick with this one today because I've done most of my other designs in this series with this same kind of green and I like them all to match. But this one's a little bit more turquoise. This is kind of a eucalyptus green. This one here is sort of a light kiwi green, a very bright green. And I also really like this olive green. You cannot go wrong. I recommend using scratch paper to sort of see what colors you like together before you fully commit to your final piece. Watercolor is one of those really forgiving paints, and if you've seen my videos before, please forgive me for repeating myself. But in order to get the paint, you're going to dip your paintbrush in some water, and then you're going to bring it to the palette. Give your palette a little massage. Now notice when I'm holding my paintbrush, I'm holding it at almost a 45-degree angle. I want to get the paint from the side, and the reason why I do that is because if you go up and down, what'll happen is you'll crush those itty-bitty little bristles in the end, and it'll be really hard to paint the tiny details because they'll be all messed up and crazy curly. And it looks like this brush was a little bit dirty, so it's a good thing I'm checking this ahead of time. I'm going to add some more water. And I might even, let's see, because my palette is dirty, I'm going to just dab it with a paper towel and get that excess paint out of there. Do as I say, not as I do. Always make sure that your paintbrush is clean, especially when you're painting with light colors like a light yellow. So once again, taking my creamy light yellow, using my brush from the side, and this is going to be my medium-sized brush. Actually, look at, oh my gosh, sorry. I'm actually going to use my medium-sized brush for this, not my smaller one, because it'll take a little bit less time to fill it in. So I'm just going to take a moment to go over and fill in the little yellow circles. Now you might not get all of them on the first try. This is kind of a complex design. You might see, oops, I missed a little one, and you can always go back and fix it later. I recommend painting from the left to the right if you're right-handed, and from the top to the bottom. And the reason why we do that is because then you don't dip your hand in wet paint as you're working. There's a little guy in here. I like to tell everybody when they're taking these videos and classes with me that nobody knows what the finished product is going to look like. So if it's not perfect, it's completely okay. And in fact, it's better because you don't want it to look like you bought this at the store. This is a cool handmade piece. That you did all by yourself. perfect. All right, next up, let's do stems and leaves. And for this one, I'm going to use my teeny tiny brush. And again, I'm going to go with sort of this grass green color right here. Double check to see which green you like the best. But chamomile leaves are almost, I don't know that we'd even call them a leaf. I suppose that we have to, but they are sort of these little teeny tiny, almost like hair follicles or mini branches. So I'm going to use the tip of my brush very finely. I'm going to press very lightly on the paper, and I'm just going to kind of go over any stems, and I've drawn a bunch of them on here for you, but please feel free to improvise if you feel like an area looks like it could use a little bit of extra green. And again, I'm going from the left to the right. It doesn't have to be perfect. I just accidentally made a little squiggly line there, and it looks better because you want it to be nice and natural. I'm being very careful, and I jumped right into this because I'm filming a video. But if you find that your little flower centers are still really wet and you're worried about putting your hand in them, go get a drink of water, go check your email, come back. And I'm using a fair amount of paint on this. I would say medium. It's not super light. If I added more water, it would be a much lighter shade of green. If I added more paint, it would be a much darker shade of green. And by just pressing very lightly with the brush, I'm getting really thin lines. There we go. All right, feeling pretty good about this. And like I said, feel free to add a little more tiny leaves and hash marks if you feel like anything looks naked. It's also probably best to finish more of the painting too and take a minute when you're done to sort of see how it all looks together. It's better to start with less and then add more as time goes on, because you can always add more paint, but taking off paint is a little bit more challenging. I noticed that I did forget one of my little centers. And he is right here. And this one. Perfect. Okay. Next up, for the vase, it's time to get at after this vase. I'm going to use my smallest brush. And we're going to go with this sort of navy blue color. Now, I'm going to do a cherry blossom design. It's a little bit different than some of the other designs that I've done on my vases. If you'd like, you can follow along with me after my instructions, or you can fast forward to the end and pause it and see how it looks, and then try to recreate it yourself. I'm gonna start with a little stripe up top, and I'm gonna use a lot of paint and a little bit of water. And what that does is that makes my paint nice and dark. I really want this stripe to stand out. So let's see, I think I'm gonna go thicker stripe here. And anywhere there's a leaf, I'm going to just pick up my paintbrush. Looks like we'll kind of feed it in through there. And then one more little thin stripe this way. Okay, now for this design, I'm actually going to just paint outlines of the flowers with my brush. And then once that's all done, I will go in and I will fill in the space, sort of the background, so that it almost looks like this was there the whole time. Let's see, this one's sort of a little bud. And I'm really just kind of filling in any negative space that I see with flowers. There's not really, I wish I could tell you what my plan is for this, but any chance I see, or anytime I see sort of a little naked blank spot, I'm just adding a little flower to it. Okay, feeling good about the overall flower coverage. Now my next move is going to be to take my medium-sized brush, and I'm going to quickly work to fill in any of this space. And just kind of go around, and then once this is drying, I'm going to go through and I'm going to add some of the details into the flowers. But you'll notice that I'm just sort of painting very quickly. I'm using a lot of water and just a little bit of paint. And the reason why I'm working quickly is because once the paint sort of settles and dries, there will be little lines where it dried, and I want to make sure that I have all that nice and blended in. I see this little area right here has sort of settled, so I'm going to just give it a little bit of a rub as well to kind of pick up any of the paint that's settled in where I don't want it and refresh it so it blends together. good news is that I actually really don't like this little one that I painted down here, but because I'm kind of painting over it, I can blend in the parts that I don't like. And it'll be like it never happened. Now that I'm about done, I'm looking and I'm seeing some parts that are a little bit darker than I would like. So I'm going to actually use a clean, wet brush, and I'm just going to kind of pick it up with my paintbrush and dry it on a paper towel. And see how my brush just kind of soaks up any excess paint. There also might be some parts, I would like this little area to be here a little bit darker, so I'm going to go over this spot again and add just a little bit at a time. There we go. All right. Overall, very happy with the way that this looks. Now, I want this to dry before I start painting my petals, and I do want to add the details to the flowers. So I'm going to take a minute here to very carefully add the centers to my flowers. And when you look at cherry blossoms, they have sort of like just these little dot centers. So I'm just going to create sort of little dark dots. Lots of paint, a little bit of water. Just doing sort of polka dots in the shape of a circle. with my little brush. I forgot this one here. Alrighty. Now, because I'm going to use my smallest brush for this next part, and I was just using it to paint the details, I am going to make sure that my brush is totally clean because I don't want to have any navy blue petals. Now, chamomile, when I think of them, I think of little white flowers, but you could also think of them as being yellow. You could make them with little brown centers. You could have them be pink, purple, whatever color suits your heart. Think about where this is going to go in your home and what colors are around it. But please don't feel like you have to just totally do what I do. I just like this color combination, so I'm going to roll with it. Now, I'm going to use a lot of paint and a little bit of water. And this is best done in daylight. So if it's getting dark, I recommend that you wait until the next day, or go sit over by a window or turn on the brightest light that you can. Even your phone flashlight would be great too. It gets to be challenging to see when you're painting white on white. But for me, I'm just going to use my small brush. I'm sitting in front of a window so I can see it. And I'm just going to lay it on with my little brush. And I'm going to move this a little bit closer as well so that you can really see. There we go. See this paint as it lays down on the paper. Anytime I see a little bud, I'm just going to kind of paint a couple petals over it. And what's interesting about this, when you're painting it white, you'd think, my goodness, how is this going to show up? It actually does. You can see once you have this framed and on a wall, there's definitely a difference between the two whites, the white of the paper and the white of the paint. It's just infuriating to see sometimes when you're painting it. You also might find while you're painting this that it's helpful for you to turn the paper upside down or put it on an angle. I'm painting up and down because I'm filming this video, but if I were sitting at on my couch binge watching a TV show, I would probably be rotating this as well. Sometimes getting it at an angle makes it a little bit easier. This is just pretty much my favorite thing to do ever. I could sit here for hours. It just feels very therapeutic to me. I hope you're enjoying this as well. All right, I think I got them all. There's a chance that I hang this up and I realize, oops, I forgot one little guy. But for the most part, I would say that all these cute little bumblebees are done. So, oh, this was just such a fun meditative practice. I hope that you enjoy your painting. I hope that you're so proud of what you've done. Please send me pictures. It always makes me feel so happy to see these in their natural habitats, and I can't wait to see what everybody did. Check out some of the other videos, and don't forget to give me a subscribe on the channel so that you can keep tabs on everything that's going on in the painting world. And thank you so much for spending time with me today. I really enjoyed it, and I hope it brought some sunshine and some spring breeze into your day. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.